Hello, welcome to another episode of How Would I Paint That? I'm going to make two versions of the painting, one based on the reference photo and the other one based on her painting. And I'm going to show you both of those two things right now, the reference and the painting. This is what she has to say about her painting. The photo was taken in Algonquin Park, Ontario, while camping. My focal point is the bushes across the water. It was a pleasant, peaceful morning. I don't think I've captured the peacefulness that I was striving for. Well, one of the things I think when I look at the reference photo is no wonder you had a hard time, because it's very difficult. I would have a hard time painting a painting from this reference. When I ask people, why did you want to paint this? They often will tell me about a memory, such as, I used to come here all the time with my dad. But that's not in the photo. It's in their head. So it isn't really necessarily going to come through in the visual. It could also be that they are responding to the whole of the experience, which includes the sound of the water and the birds singing and the smell of the trees and the temperature and the breeze. All these things come together to make the experience, but it isn't in the visual. So how do you know a photo isn't a good one to paint from? Well, it has to do with the lighting. The lighting in this photo is rather flat. And we know that dramatic light makes dramatic painting. We need the shift in values to make it grab our attention. Despite that, to paraphrase Lord Tennyson in The Charge of the Light Brigade, mine is not to question why, mine is but to do or die. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a painting from this reference photo, and then I will do one from her painting. Let's look at the reference photo as a grayscale in 3 values, light, dark, and middle. Well, I noticed that most of the reference is in middle or light, but there's a nice strong dark from that far line of trees, and it makes a shape that angles, that narrows to a point over on the left-hand side. And I think that's a really important shape because the eye is gonna follow that. And that's a good spot for me to put the focal point. The thing I want to do is take down these trees on the right because they have too much love on them. They are demanding too much attention and too interesting. I want to move through these trees over to the left. So I'm taking away some of this pretty orange that's in the shadows, and I'm sliding over to the left, angling down. I like this bit of far land that she has there, and that's really useful to push the viewer back into the painting and to this focal point right here, which is where I've got a nice dark. See how I come in from the side and I can slide down that little line, diagonal line, and over to here where the green is slightly more saturated. Now these other bushes, I want to be able to slide through them and see how they're connected. So they are less saturated and sort of become one larger shape with variety in it. Now down here at the lower left, you see how it looks like it's in shadow, but in the reference, it had light on it. So I'm going to put that back, and it'll keep it from seeming like a gloomy day. And then when I get over here to this little spit of land, you see right now how it points. It comes to a point, but the point is going directly to the left. And I want it to point toward the back, toward this focal point. So I'll just alter it a little bit as I paint it. Now looking at the sky, you see how it has blue, it's sort of blue sky, but down here in the reflection, which is a reflection of the sky in the water, it looks lavender. So I'm going to shift that back to blue so that it, makes more sense with the sky that's up there. And then let's see if there's anything else I want to point out. Oh, I put a little bit of a nice blue right over here to make this area just a little more interesting. And that's what I've done with this peaceful pond. Okay, now for version 2. This time I will take inspiration from her painting. I notice how the shapes in this painting are narrowing over by the tall trees, making a vertical that will intersect with all the horizontals, which I like. And I also am picking up on the warmth in the shadow, which is suggesting a cool light. So I'm going to play up those two aspects in this version. I notice there's a lot of burnt orange or brown in the shadows here along these trees here. This is very warm in the shadows. This water, dark in the water, it looks very brown. Same down here, a lot of brown in the shadows. So that tells me if there's burnt orange in the shadows, there's probably cerulean blue in all the light. And I'm going to make the focal point over here at the golden mean intersection on the upper right. The way this line of the trees angles down, making a little point there. The way this line points down, I'm going to say this tree right here is going to be my focal point. So I am going to throw in a little bit of saturated color there. I'm going to put in some more cerulean on everything in light. And let's do that. So when I get over here, what happens there? It stays cool. More cerulean on this. And this little jut of land is now important. Before I was really worried about this one over here on the lower right. But now this one is one that I really find is useful to point to the focal point. I'm going to put the light on the grass again down here in the lower left. And last time, this is a cooler color than I used last time. Notice how there's a little more lemony yellow in this color here to make it feel closer than this stuff farther back. And let's see what else. Okay, so I love the way that she's done the water with all these swirls in it. She definitely loves water. I'm going to have kind of a vertical shine of light. Do you see how right through here it is lighter than I'm making it elsewhere? And what else can I tell you? So I think that does it. It pushes you over to this tree, and it has that beautiful red violet right there. There you go. What do I hope you take away from seeing these two different versions of the same scene? Well, in one, the focal point was on the left, and in the other, the focal point was on the right. And what changed was the supporting actors, the shapes that directed you to each spot. Know that you can change the angle of shapes. You can shorten them or make them dip, or you can de-emphasize them. You can emphasize ones that do what you want. Manipulate the other shapes in your scene to emphasize your focal point. Happy painting!